All right, welcome back to Brotherhood Forged. We got a special treat tonight. My buddy Geoff Bratsberg. Did I say it Bratsberg correctly, Geoff?
Yeah, Bratsberg.
All right. So
Yes, you
Geoff is
did.
part of
How's it going?
our Brotherhood Forged community. He is our first of hopefully many interviews. There's guys in the community, but we want to interview some other people as well. And so Paul and I are going to just have a conversation with Geoff and just kind of let you guys know the kind of guys that are in the community. Geoff's he's a rock star. So, Paul, what you got?
I got a cool icebreaker to kick it off for you, but do you want to say anything before I get to that, Geoff?
Oh, well, thank you guys. This is awesome. Looking forward to whatever we go over.
Nice for being here, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
I will give you some layups first. Joey and I did some fun would you rather's, but I won't would you rather because those can be pretty on the spot.
Yeah.
This also could be as well. If you think about where your life is at now, what is one thing that fires you up the most?
One thing that fires me up the most, um, wow, seeing my kids succeed, seeing my marriage succeed, and being able to support others who are on similar journeys. Those things really fire me up. Absolutely.
I'm going to piggyback on that. So, 20 years ago, would those answers have been full of Geoff, or would they have been about
Oh
other
my.
people?
Oh man, no, 20 years ago, geez, that's a scary thought. Yeah, it would have absolutely been full of me and just whatever was happening any given day. When I was 20 years old, I didn't have any concept of the future, planning, conscientiousness. It was just, what do I want to do for fun right now? So yeah, that's a huge difference, man.
Dude, I think every guy is guilty of that because so often like we go through our life and we try to plan so many things, but like I don't think guys' radars look the same way of like this is what my family to look like at a certain age and all that kind of stuff. And I'm glad I kind of knew your answer was gonna go that way because did you switched career paths to see your kids succeed, to be more present for your wife, for your family. So that was huge, and I had a feeling based off our conversation to get to know you, that's where it was gonna go. So you delivered.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad I
Here's a,
could please. That was a good question too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something I reflect on all the time is, that I guess you could say growth and maturity of coming away from oneself. And I think that out of everything that we're called to do on this earth, coming out of yourself is one of the big ones. So just trying to learn that as I go, and I've got a long way to go, but holy cow, I've come a long way too.
You have.
well, Richie would also say that's easier said than done.
He
Richie.
would, and he would not be
We're gonna
wrong.
I got one
I got-
for you. Oh, can I go?
I got yeah, you go. I got two lighter ones after this. You give him one.
All right. What's one thing
Okay.
God has been showing you recently as a man, as a dad, as a believer, a follower of Jesus?
Wow.
Any of those. You don't have to answer all of those for all those areas, but what's one thing that's really evident that God's telling you lately?
Oh, he's telling me to just trust him and follow. And he's saying, stop resisting. And he's smacking me upside the head when I resist because I do it plenty. But I would say that recently, especially with you guys, and then this other neighborhood group of guys I'm with, he's calling me to be more vocal with my faith and how it's changed my life, and to spread a little bit of that fire and just sprinkle it out, wherever I can. And if it lands, great. And if it doesn't, just keep on sprinkling it out. And that's coming through, helping facilitate conversations, with you guys, with our group, with Brotherhood Forged, and with a men's Bible study that we have started on the farm out here now just recently that, man, I was hit upside the head with that. I was at my neighbor's and we were watching the Buckeye game. Ohio State, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
And yeah, I had to do that.
No.
Anyway,
2 out of 3.
we're watching the Ohio State game, and he just says, "Hey, let's do a Bible study. And I mean, you would have laid that in front of me 5 years ago, and I would have, I mean, I don't even want to think about what my reaction would have been, because I would have been, this is a waste of time. Why would we be doing this? Like, what are you talking about? So
Yeah.
he's hitting me on the head with that, and I really feel very unqualified, but very grateful, because it then gives me a front row seat to learning his word better and getting wisdom from people who are on different paths than the one I'm on. So
Yeah.
it's really awesome.
Remember, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Not my saying, but it's a great one.
Absolutely.
Oh, you, Paul. Sorry, I had to jump in there.
You're good, man. No, I also think about like, if you were quote unquote more qualified, that might be more intimidating to your friends. Like I know I just started a group, Joey's on one of the calls too with my buddies. If I was like a Bible scholar, they may not come to me for that kind of stuff, right? So they're not coming for you because of what you can quote unquote provide. It's because of who you are. It's the connection they had to you. The Bible study that you guys started is because of you and what you bring to the table and the connection that you guys have together. So easier said than done. Here we go again, just number 2. But don't disqualify yourself in that term as well, because the connections and the ability that you have to bring people together is I think one of your biggest strengths from getting to know you, man. You definitely are a connector.
I appreciate that, Paul. I appreciate it. And, you know, I think that's a gift that he's blessed me with. If I do a true appraisal of myself, it's been like that ever since I, was a kid, but it was in different contexts. And I'm just so blessed that context is changing. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of. It is the most important thing to be a part of, is, building up his church, all he's done for all of us. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
You led into one of my other questions, so I'll go to that one now. It's a little more lighthearted. You mentioned you were a Michigan State fan. I'm just kidding. Ohio State fan. So as an Ohio State fan,
green.
You are wearing green today. Joey's not. He's wearing Buckeye colors. So I am a State fan, a Michigan State fan. You guys are Ohio State fans. I have some pretty good Michigan State memories, and it happens to be at your guys' expense. But what is your favorite sports memory? I'm going to guess it's probably Ohio State something.
Oh, no. My dad sent my brother and I to the San Francisco Giants game where Barry Bonds broke the record, the Astros game. We were behind home plate in the third deck.
What?
So, yeah. We used to go to Giants games all the time, and my dad bought a 6-pack of tickets at the beginning of the year in August 17th. Or no, that's my anniversary. Sorry, August 7th, 2007. We happened to be there, and you were beside yourself, like, oh my, it could be it. Every single pitch to him, the entire stadium was lit up with camera flashes, and these weren't cell phone flashes; these were legit camera flashes.
Right?
And man,
wow!
It stopped the game for 20 minutes. It was the loudest thing you ever heard. So that one just that hits me back in the childhood feels. You know what I mean?
I bet.
Oh yeah, it was me and my brother Justin. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's super cool. I thought it was gonna be something Ohio State, man. So again, you delivered even more than I thought you would for that one too. And you mentioned your anniversary. So one of my other icebreakers was, what is your favorite date or first date with your wife?
My favorite date with my wife. Oh man. So our first date. Let's go to the first date. And I'm gonna call it the first date after the first night I had met her, like our first actual date. I took her out to this baseball field, to this softball field in Tucson, Arizona, with my brother, and I had her shag flag balls for me that I took batting practice. And she gives me a hard time about it because she had, it was probably like a Sunday morning and she had been out with her girlfriends the night before or something, but she got there, she shagged balls, she worked hard, and then she came and she ripped some line drives over the first base. So, that was
That's cool.
I hardly knew her at all, but, it's just, she came out, she did what I wanted to do, and she had fun. And I'll never forget that. My favorite date with her, it can be one of many. Anytime we go out to dinner together, and we like to go out to nice restaurants, we like to go out to Pizza Hut. We like to go anywhere. But when we go out to dinner together, especially if it's somewhere nice, what we do is, whenever we get a dish, we come up with a new name for it. So we went to this fancy restaurant, and we actually had tomato water is what we called it, and they had made like a clear tomato soup. So we're always in good conversation with one another. We enjoy the moment with one another. There's never a cell phone out when we're out at dinner together. And so it's just hitting that quality time.
Yeah, that's
Love
solid.
that. Yeah, I love that. Don't feel too bad about having to shag fly balls. I think it was like one of our anniversary dates. I took Amber to a hill because I was still playing football at the time. And we did hill sprints. So that was not my best date idea either. But hey, you like you said, man, they did what we wanted to do. And they had fun doing it, and they showed up for it. So
yeah, she showed up right away. She still shows up every single day. So, it was just a different way to show up, I guess.
I
That's
love it.
good.
Do you have any more icebreakers, Joey?
No, but I'm going to jump into something else, if that's cool. You done with icebreakers?
I am. I
Okay.
do have another segue, but I'll get to that later about marriage because it kind of sparked my mind on something else. But get to your stuff first.
Well, just my first one. Obviously, Brotherhood Forged is a Christian community. So we don't give Geoff warnings, except for this one. I did give him a 30-minute heads up on this one. Your favorite Bible verse and why, or what does it mean to you? Why is it so important? Other than this, they're all surprise questions.
Yeah, I would say I have two. One kind of goes back to childhood, and one is, more relevant now. I mean, they're all relevant now, but one really reminds me of childhood, and that was James 1:19. My dad used to do devotionals with us all the time, and some of it stuck, some of it didn't. I didn't have ears to hear, but for whatever reason, that verse, be quick to listen, be slow to speak, and be slow to become angry. I don't know what it was about it. That part was easy to memorize, but I found myself just, I guess, being convicted of that through my entire life. And, sometimes I listened, sometimes I didn't. I wasn't by any means, completely obedient to it, but I knew I should be. So that one stands out to me from childhood. And then the one that I think has the most relevance for this and the remainder of the chapters of my life is Ephesians 5:25. And you guys actually just did an episode on it, and it was wonderful to hear what you had to say about it. But love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So I think that it's clear to me that the Bible says God's number one, right? There's no question about it. But he also says that on this earth, your spouse is number one, right? And that's
True,
also very clear in his word.
Yeah.
And how did Christ love the church? I mean, sacrificially, self-sacrificial love, right? Yeah. He served her. He got her all dressed for the gown, and for the wedding, got her dressed for the wedding, and wedding day's coming, right? Wedding day's coming, but he sacrificed himself for her. So I think that if God says my wife is the most important person on this earth that I'm going to interact with, what better piece of scripture to keep on the front of your mind, every day when you wake up. And it not only reflects on your love for your wife or how you're called to love her, but in the text of that verse, it forces you to reflect on what Christ did for you. And that goes down a completely different rabbit hole, right? So that one's had the most impact for me and will for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's an amazing verse. And when we follow that, like you said, Geoff, our marriage is bound to be amazing. Unfortunately, we all sometimes slip away from that verse, right? But it's such a good reminder. It's such a good reminder. And it's been a great lesson for me as well. Bobby, no, I'm not perfect at it yet, but I'm getting a whole lot better. Yeah, thanks for answering those. Yeah, Paul, it's on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, that's like the okay, sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just gonna agree with you, Joey, about the whole perfection thing. I mean, I'm so far from it, but it's something to strive for, and it's a command.
But we're working
that
at
I
it.
wanna
We're
uphold.
trying.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal, right? It's that book of the ideal life where you have a goal so far out that you can never actually attain it, but every single day you strive to get better at it. And so if you think about loving your wife like Christ loves the church, easier said than done. Or is it, when you think about things like you talked about when we were getting ready for this, what things could make it easier for people to do instead of say? And the first thing that came to mind is what you were talking about, is those bids for connection. What else do you think would be like the easier to do things for that than Jeff? Because bids for connection, you said like you just did not quite see them the same, or maybe not. I guess take them for what they were when she was having those.
I'm not sure. Try to reword the question. I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I want to make sure I'm getting what you're getting at.
Yeah. So if I say love your wife like Christ loves the church, and Richie says that's easier said than done, how can we make it easier to do and not just say?
Oh, okay. So what are easier ways to love your wife like Christ loves the church? Connection, absolutely, right? I think being curious in dating her, and those things are going to help make it easier in the long term, right? Being curious about, if you're always curious about her, that's going to spark conversation. You guys are going to talk and connect more. I had another thought and it just escaped me. I'm sorry.
That happens to us all the time, bro.
All the time. I can edit.
I had a thought. I think I was gonna run down, like, love is a choice more than a feeling.
100%.
So making that. Yeah. So whether or not you can tactically make it easier, it's just important to keep in mind that I don't think he's commanding us to always feel love, right? I mean, we can't choose what we feel. We choose what we do with our feelings. So love is a choice. It's not a feeling. Love is an
feelings
action.
too.
Love is a verb.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't depend on feelings, right? If you're basing your life on feelings and your choices on feelings, you're in trouble. I agree, Jeff. Totally agree.
Well, think of all the times where
it's. Go ahead, Paul.
I was gonna say, think of all the times where you don't feel like saying I love you, or you don't feel like giving them a hug, or you're upset and you're not going through those things. And I think I shared this before. The magic of thinking big talks about action leads to feeling, not feeling leads to action. So even in those moments where it is stressful and the marriage isn't always perfect, you still have to act out that way, even if you don't feel like it, because the feelings will then follow. And always remember that we made a commitment, we made a vow to essentially, like we say, love your wife like Christ loved the church. And that's not going to be an every single day thing. So it's always reminding yourself that I need to show up and do this, even on the days that I don't feel like it, because I get to, because I still can.
Yeah, absolutely. And just those little cues that you can kind of keep in your head. One of those cues that I kind of go back on is, this is the daughter of my king. Like, this is God's daughter, right? And he's saying, here you go. This is here, become one with her. And you can't help but be thankful to him for her. And if he's truly your king, how are you going to treat his daughter? You're going to love her, right? So that's one, like, I guess, mental image that I have in my head to help it be, easier done.
That lens and that perspective can shift so much for you, opposed to seeing her through a different light. Because I think through a different light, you get resentment, you get defensiveness, you get argumentative. But if you see her through that lens, like you're talking about, man, it just completely flips the perception, and you're like, oh, I have to honor her this way, or I get to honor her this way, opposed to like, oh man, I got to do the dishes again. Now I'm resentful. So, I love how you said that.
Yeah, and I love your reflection there. It's not I have to do this for her. It's I get to,
Yeah.
right? And if we can, and that perspective is also easier said than done. It's not perfect for anybody,
Right.
so certainly included. But when I'm at that spot where I hear that inner conviction say, "You get to," here she is. She's yours. She's yours to protect and love. When you're convicted of that, it sure makes it a whole lot easier, and it's a pleasure. It is a deep pleasure that you build. I mean, that connection that you build, it's something that probably I would say it's the closest that we will ever get to heaven on this earth until Christ returns. So
It's powerful. I'm gonna start saying ESTD instead of easier said than done too. ESTD.
STD though, I don't know. That just has a bad
no,
sound.
Okay.
I don't know.
I
I don't.
rethink that.
I think so too. I'm like,
Yeah.
all I heard was
Okay.
STD, and I'm like, Paul, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that creates a different image, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure does.
The
Nice try though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, you know what? We were just thinking out loud, verbally processing it, and we just scrapped that one. So that's gone.
It's all right.
The last piece that I have what we're talking about for the marriage part, unless we get into it later, man, is you brought up when we were talking about this bids for connection. So when we talk about bids for connection, what's one thing that comes to mind for you?
Oh man, a bid for connection could just be something as powerful as, hey, I need to talk to you. Something that big and obvious, and it could be just a sigh or a tired look, right? Coming in the door and just walking in looking like you were beat up. That's a bid for connection. That's saying, hey, I had a hard day. Come talk to me. Come comfort me, right? That's a huge bid for connection. Body language, subtle verbal hints, right? Anything can be a bid for connection. And if you're not looking for them, you're going to miss them. But if you can kind of keep in the back of your mind, is this a bid for connection? Is there something that she needs to unload? Is there something that she wants to tell me? Is she excited about something? Is she scared about something? And the same goes with your children, same goes with your friends. If you're going around looking with your interactions from person to person, looking for those bids for connection, you're going to see them. You're going to see them. Absolutely.
I love that because you're right. It's an opportunity. And if we're not looking for that opportunity, we won't find it because we're shutting ourselves down from thinking about the opportunity of it. So another beautiful answer there, man. That's all I had written for that section,
Yeah.
Joey. So I'm going to pass it back to you, bro.
All right. So Geoff, as we talk about in Brotherhood Forged, and we have in the past as well in other communities, but we emphasize the importance of sharing our struggles, helping carry each other's burdens. So having said that, this current state of life that you're in right now, I want to hear some vulnerability. What is your biggest battle that you're going through right now? That could be spiritual, could be personal, whatever you're comfortable sharing. So I want you to be able to share something that other guys are going to be like, wow, these guys actually talk about this stuff, and it's okay, because it's more than okay, right? It brings healing. So, what comes to mind, even if you have to ponder on it for a second?
I've got a lot of battles, Joey. I got a lot.
Amen.
I could give you 2 podcasts over it easily. I think the first big battle that comes to mind is trying to completely submit to God's word. I still, I'll read something or I'll pray on something and I'll hear him telling me to go right, and I'm just like, no, I'm gonna go left because I know what I'm doing. So that's a big one. Is acting and obeying on those convictions. And I that's a battle for everybody, but that one's been on the front of my mind quite a bit. I'm fairly new in this faith, and so
Mhm.
I'm asking him to speak to me more, and trying to listen, and still find myself just thinking that I know better. So that's a big one. Another big battle is, I would say, shame. I carry shame about certain things in my past, as I'm sure many of us do.
Right.
So just self-forgiveness for things. And one of the big things that I need to forgive myself for is living for myself, even after I had already been called to live for others. So I struggle with shame with that, and I still struggle with selfishness and wanting to, spend time. I guess I don't know how to put it, but I would say, sorry, just give me a second.
No, you're fine. Remember, I can edit out dead spots, so you're fine.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
easy.
yeah. That's why I'm
It's
I'm
easy to
taking a
do.
second. I guess like what I want to get into, I guess, is just the journey of trying to get out of living for myself. I guess that's the biggest struggle. And I'd say, so it's like climbing a mountain. You start at the base of this mountain and you don't even know you're there. And, you make decisions that, man, I'm really struggling with how to word this,
It's a tough one. Honestly, it's
because
very tough. And
I want to, like, you know what I mean? I want to hit the concept, but I don't know how to dance around things.
how, yeah, I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm thinking, I I still fight being selfish and putting myself first
Yeah.
often. And I know, especially in my marriage, I should be putting her first. And I do a lot better than I used to.
Yeah.
But how do you transition into that? I think it's just like you said, baby steps, as Paul and I talked about in one of those podcasts, brick by brick by
Yeah.
brick. It's not easy. And
Yeah.
piggybacking on your first answer, how do you know when it's God talking
Sure,
to
go
you?
ahead.
How do you differentiate? Know
Oh,
that when that's God speaking to me? Because that's a question I'm sure a lot of people are going to have. Like, how do you know it's God?
working on trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
I think that if it's a strong conviction that aligns with His Word, then you're probably in pretty good shape.
bingo. That's the answer I was looking for.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's it, right? So, quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry, right? And
Yep.
you feel yourself getting angry and you want to pop off back at somebody, right?
Mm.
And you hear that and you harness it, and
Yeah.
that's obedience to it. So, easy example there, but
No,
a strong
that's fine.
conviction from His Word, you're good.
Yeah, I can align with the battles you mentioned as well. So you're not alone. Some of the things we talk about in the group. So, Paul, that's over to you, brother. We're just going back and forth. Like, works good.
Yeah, dude, you talk about the slow to anger. Is that what go through it again? Because I just pulled up a Proverbs verse that I thought of as soon as you said that. So what's your verse that you said?
The James 1:19, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. That's a paraphrase. There's, it starts,
Yeah,
it's a little bit longer
for
than
sure.
that, but
Because I was just thinking of Proverbs 14:29. So whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has hasty temper exalts fully. So it's that stings the same concept of the slow to anger and the understanding. I love that you brought that up because it immediately made me think of that verse. You were talking about the mountain, man. Be at the bottom of the mountain. The analogy I thought of when you talked about that was how often going through this whole journey, and that's something we could talk about too, like when you started going through your whole self-development process or just wanting to become a better person, how often have you felt like most men, most fathers, most husbands, that you get to the top of that mountain, you've overcome something only to realize there's a taller mountain over across the way that you just saw as well? Has that been something for you where you like you feel like you're getting a good grasp of something? It's like I just got over this mountain, I've overcome this. Oh wait, there's a taller mountain waiting for me.
Dude, okay. So, absolutely. And I'll go back to young adulthood. So, I mentioned Barry Bonds. I mentioned going and playing softball with Kelly, right? So, I love throwing. And as a young adult, I would take my buddies out to the park. We'd throw real hard, and I'd wear 3 of them out one by one. Well, eventually, I end up tearing my labrum and my biceps tendon, and I had 3 shoulder surgeries over the course of maybe 2 years. When that happened, I got terribly addicted to pain pills. Okay.
Cool.
Terribly addicted to opiates. I'd take far more than was prescribed, and frankly, I feel lucky to be alive at this point with how I was treating that drug. One day, I saw the mountain that I was going to climb. I was no longer in pain, but I was still using them daily. And I said, that's enough. And so I geared up to climb that mountain. And my motivation, I remember sitting in the bathroom crying, thinking about my little brothers, seeing their older brother grow up like this. And I wanted to be a better example for them. So I stopped them cold turkey and never touched them again. And there was, 2 weeks of feeling terrible, going through withdrawal. And that was climbing the mountain, was going through that, right? Just sticking with my choice, never looked back. So I get to the top of this mountain, and I truly feel as if I'm on the top of the world because I climbed that thing myself. Nobody helped me. I did it. And instead of seeing that I was surrounded by a huge mountain range and I was just on a small foothill, all I saw was where I had come from under my own power. And I tumbled so far down the mountain after that in pride, right? I was just so prideful. I didn't realize what I realize now is that wasn't my own power that got me through that at all. So, yeah, you get to the top of a mountain, whether it's a big one or a little one. First of all, you didn't get there on your own. And second of all, you're in the middle of a mountain range, man. When we're on this earth, you are trekking through the Rockies, through the Alps, through Sierra Nevada. You're never going to be at the top. You're never going to get up to Everest. And as soon as you think you're up there, be careful because there's a tumble coming.
So I had shoulder surgery myself, and they gave me opiates. I got really sick when I took them, but knowing people through the sports world that I know, like you don't realize how quick people can start a bad path from something like that. Even like David West talked about this. He was a D1 football player. He got severely addicted to drugs. He started with a football injury. He started with a sports injury. Gave him an opiate. It's like, dude, he just went completely downhill from there. And it's one of those things. I appreciate you sharing that because I know so many people that have gone through that same struggle, and it's not easy to overcome that. And the one thing I thought about when you're going through that, man, is Joey and I actually just talked about the same thing earlier today. Pride comes before the fall. So you're on top of that hill and you're so prideful, then you fall down because you're like, look what I got on my own. But then realizing I didn't have to, realizing that you did it because God was with you throughout it, but also you didn't have to. So often I think as men and husbands and fathers that we take these struggles on, we take these battles on, and we're like, I got to do it all by myself. I got to buckle down. I got to work hard. I got to white knuckle this. No one's going to help me. No one's coming to save me. Those are great motivational things when you try to spark yourself up. But like, dude, you don't have to go through these things alone. And I'm speaking to myself when I say this too, because there's so many people out there. And I shared this before. I love this analogy of when you get in a group like this, you have people waiting for you at that next mountain with their hand down, ready to pull you up. And then you can provide that same thing for the guy behind you that's trying to come up as well. Reach your hand out, lift him up. When you get around people like that, that understand, I can do this on my own, but it's going to suck and I'm going to fail and I'm going to struggle. Or I can allow the people around me to wrap their arms around me and say, hey, we got this with you. Then you can go at it a lot further and faster and stronger and just feel so much better about it. And then also understand, like you said, man, God was with you throughout the whole process. But the same thing, I've been in situations where I wasn't able to see at the time. And then you look back and you're like, dang, I really put myself through a lot more suffering than I had to just to say I did something on my own. It's never worth it.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you happen to be a little bit farther up the path and you see someone struggling and slipping to come up, how good does it feel to reach that hand down, right?
Feels
And that's
amazing.
the thing, right?
Yep.
You tumble down that hill, you take those bumps and bruises with you, and sometimes you take scars, but those scars help remind you to, maybe try to help the next guy not get the same scar, or
Absolutely.
help him out of the ditch that he fell into. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the most amazing things about being a part of a community like this is that not only are you pulled up, but you get the opportunity to pull others up.
Amen. Amen.
Did you talk about helping people out when you go through those things? It's back to Damon West. He's on a podcast with Ed Milet talking about that same thing. It's oftentimes the things that we're the least proud of in life that qualify us to help that next person. Because everyone's going through something they need help with. And if you've gone through that, then who better to help them than someone that's experienced it too? So I'm glad you brought that up as well, man. And that's a lot of times what you'll see in these kind of communities of guys that have gone through similar things. They're like, hey, dude, I struggled with that and I tripped over my own self. Let me help you not do the same thing. And I know for a fact, that's what you provide to the community too. And I know Joey, everyone we got in there, we got some really good dudes in there that are helping the rest of us not continue to trip over our own feet. Easier said than done.
Every time. Let's jump into fatherhood a little bit, Geoff.
Sure.
Tell everybody how many kids you have, kind of that kind of thing, boys, girls. And then I want to know what's your biggest challenge as a father and how has that challenge shaped you? What have you learned from it?
Wow. Okay. So I have two daughters. I have two beautiful blonde princesses, 6 years old and 3 years old. And I have more princess dresses in the closet than I could tell you. So
Paul probably does too.
I would say my biggest challenge as a father is coming out of myself. Same thing as the biggest challenge in marriage or in life is coming out of myself and living a life of service to others. I had a really hard time, especially when my eldest daughter was born, doing that. I would stay up late at night playing video games because I felt I deserved it. This was my time. I needed my time. And I would leave Kelly to take care of her all night. She would wake up, feed her, change diapers, everything. And I remember even feeling a little bit angry when I was trying to play my guitar not angry, but put off, I guess, when I was trying to play my guitar and my daughter came up and was whapping at the strings because I just really wanted to learn this song. And I was completely living for myself, not seeing the gift that was put in front of me. And I thankfully don't have that same mindset now, but that had been my biggest challenge, was just realizing that I'm not the most important person on this world. The world doesn't revolve around me. So that was a difficult one and a hard lesson. And I'm so thankful that I got kind of hit in the head with that lesson. I'm so thankful because it's so much better. I absolutely adore my girls and my family, and it's one of the biggest pleasures that I have in this earth is supporting them and being there with them and spending time with them. I think like that challenge is the thing that probably shaped the way that I approach my family more than anything, is just the realization that, hey, I'm a dad and I'm still living for myself. What's going on? And that completely led to a complete paradigm shift in how I look at myself.
Do your kids get to see your vulnerable side, or are they too small? It's been so long. Mine's 29. So how do you plan to show your kids that dad can be vulnerable too, if that hasn't already become a thing? They're young, so I'm just curious if you've even thought about that. I think it's important to teach our kids. I did not. I got a lot of these lessons late in life, unfortunately. I wish I would have had them at your age, but I didn't. So I'm doing the best I can, right?
Yeah, that's a really good question. How do I show my kids vulnerability? One thing that I try to do is if I catch myself either being impatient, angry, sad, upset, unkind, I apologize to them.
I love that, man. I
And
love that.
I come in and I own it. Like, Lily, I'm so sorry. Daddy is just having a hard time with patience right now, and it's not okay. And I'm sure it scares you when I'm impatient. Please forgive me, and I'm working on it. So, and that would be an example. So, just try to show her that it's okay to feel big feelings, but at the same time, you want to come towards one another ultimately.
I was just going to say what you just shared there. I hope guys that are listening take that to heart, that you should apologize when you should own it when you're a butthole, right? Or when you snap at them or whatever. I mean, we should, and so many don't. Well, I'm the parent. I don't have to do that. Well, maybe you should. All right, back to you, Paul.
Yeah, two things. You said that you hope guys take that away, and I do too. I think that's helping your kids understand how to manage their emotions is one of the biggest gifts that we can give them. My parents did a pretty good job of that for me, but I know that if you look back generationally wise, that wasn't something that was modeled for kids. The fact that we have the ability to model that for ours is only going to set them up for a better potential outcome than we had, because some of us may have to learn that the hard way through our teenage years, where that can be misplaced, and then you go down different paths you don't want to go down. Excuse me. The other thing you talked about earlier when you said you were still living for yourself even when you became a father, I love that. And I hope guys take that. If they don't take anything away from this, I hope they take away that piece of that, because I think every father goes through that, especially if you become a father younger. Not to say age matters at all, but if you're younger, you still have different goals and different selfish desires and things like that. But I think every father goes through that moment where they realize, I can't live for my own desires anymore. There's people important for me that rely on me and care for me. And if they don't realize that when they still have the opportunity to do anything about it, they will realize it when it's too late. When their kids are older, when they've already disconnected that relationship. Because sooner or later, I've said this before, our kids figure out who we are. They figure out the story of what we did and the story of us and how we raised them. And when they get to that point, they get to decide, do I continue to have a relationship with my parents? Am I friends with my parents? Do I want to see my parents in the holidays? So the fact that you're able to create these things at a young age, because I'm in the same boat, bro. And I'm so thankful that whatever happened helped me open my eyes to that, to realize how important this time is with them, because you don't get it back. And when you realize it later on, it's too late to change it, because it's already past, it's already gone. So I really hope that guys listening take this away, that if you are a father and their kids are young, wherever they are, realize that they're depending on you to show up as the best version of yourself for you and for them. But that requires you checking yourself at the door and saying, am I still living for myself, or am I giving them the best that I have for them, for myself, for our family?
Dude, absolutely. And the shortcut to that, Ephesians 5:25. Love your wife like Christ loves the church. Because what you're going to do is you're going to show them what love is. And you're going to show them, if they're little boys, you're going to show them this is what a husband does. And if you have girls, you're going to show them this is what you should look for in your husband. And what better gift can you show your children than a window into the most important relationship of their life? So I think there's a super strong hyperlink there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you set the standard for how they should be treated and how they should look for relationships. As a girl dad, man, it's one of those things that
Yeah.
you got to own that. You got to wear that as pride because, or you got to own that with pride because sooner or later they're going to find somebody, they're going to date somebody, and that person will either be the example you set or the opposite because of the example that you set. So it's a very scary. Actually, the book that we're going through in our community, The Disciplines of a Godly Man, he talks about how scary the responsibility is of being a father. And I'll even go further to say, especially of girls but even boys too, because you set such a big standard of like, this is how you should be treated. Or on the flip side, for a boy, this is how you treat a girl. And it's scary because if you screw that up, they're going to end up in a relationship that you probably don't want them in. And then if they're still hanging out with you, that person's coming to your holidays. That person's coming over to your family too. So it's almost like whenever time you invest in that and teaching them what example should be there, that's going to come back around sooner or later down the road as a son-in-law or a daughter-in-law, and you have power to not control that, but to influence that based off the example that you set.
Absolutely. And also you mentioned one thing, helping emotionally regulate. I mean, especially with young kids, they don't understand. And if you have that simple little toolkit of saying, are you angry or are you sad? Right? Are you hurt or are you scared? And just kind of help them navigate that. I mean, that de-escalates them, that allows them to process, and it teaches them the vulnerability like we talked about a few minutes ago too.
That's huge. Because how many times have little boys seen, or even little girls seen, they're like, oh, you're not supposed to cry. Suck it up. Move on. Don't process your emotions. Ignore those. Deal with those later. You can't deal with them now. What does that do? It just sets them up to fail. So it's huge, man. It's another part of the scary responsibility that we have as parents.
Geoff, if you could go back to blue haired Geoff and tell him what's the most important thing. I know Geoff's backstory a little more, so I won't get into that. But blue haired skater boy Geoff, what's one thing about walking with God, the importance of walking with God? What would that be? What would you tell him?
Wow. I don't even know if I could have had a conversation with him about it because he was worried about going to concerts and skateboarding. And,
Pretend he was a little
friends.
receptive.
Yeah.
He's a little receptive
Okay,
more than he really would have been. How's that? Just a little bit.
Sure. One thing that I would say if I was trying to reach Geoff with blue hair is that life is short and eternity is real. And I'd just leave it at that. I'd leave it at that. And then, hope that it opened a door. But I think that would have reached me back in my punk rock days, because it's a profound statement. It's almost artistic, but it really makes you think. Because I don't think anyone's going to argue that. Not even the most, indignant punk rock 16-year-old is going to argue it's anything like that. And I would have tried to. So.
All right, I want to go one more on faith. As far as you're growing in your faith, does the Brotherhood help you in your faith growth? Meaning, the Brotherhood Forged, being part of this community. Putting you on the spot, but it's a serious question.
Yeah, has it helped me?
Has it helped you? And how so? Yeah, and how so?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I'm around guys that are much farther along in their walk than me, who are just showing fruit of the Spirit everywhere, right? And they're vulnerable. They'll let us all know where they're struggling, and they'll offer encouragement or advice or even correction if that's what I need. And I think one of the biggest blessings is just getting a front row seat to other people's conversations as well, right?
Yeah.
Anytime someone brings up a piece of their life that weighs heavy on them, whether it's faith related or not, it gives everybody else an opportunity to learn the same lessons. And it's almost inevitable that if you're struggling with A, somebody else in the group is struggling with A. If you're struggling with B and C, somebody else is too. So Absolutely. It's encouraged it's strengthened my walk, it's strengthened my faith, and it's given me a sense of purpose too. Just another sense of purpose to be a part of a brotherhood, to help sharpen others and to be sharpened by others.
Well, on that note, I'll say you're a huge asset. Geoff helps me facilitate the Wednesday night the discipleship call. He just jumped in and started helping, and he's a huge asset. But yeah, we love Geoff. He's growing. We're all growing, and those are just great reflections. Thanks for that. That's at the end of my list of questions. Paul, I'm sure you got something else too. But man, it was amazing.
That was good. I have just some little questions, but I want to piggyback that you are huge assets to the community, man. And it meant a lot for us it meant a lot to us for you to join us, because it was one of those things where it was scary for us to start our own thing, but to know that we had guys like you that were supporting us and said, I'm in, that was huge, man. It really is what propelled us through that leap of faith.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hey, man. Well, every single one of us appreciates the two of you guys for sure, taking that leap of faith. You guys were being spoken to, and you listened, and then you obeyed, and you jumped. And it's wonderful, man. I'm super blessed to be part of this. And I'm humbled and blessed to be able to help you on Wednesdays, Joey. I feel like I get a front row seat to tons of wisdom, tons of conviction, tons of faith. And it's awesome to be a part of that, man.
I feel the same.
You guys got a great thing you started here, and I'm super stoked to be a part of it.
We're thrilled that you're part, brother.
Appreciate you saying that. Before I get to my little questions, is there anything else that you want to share? Anything at all?
I don't know. I feel like we talked about quite a bit. There's nothing in particular I'm convicted to share beyond that, I don't think.
And we'll do a part 2 with you. But I got to know now, because I was once a skater boy too, but you were probably better than me. Because I always was like a little too big for the skateboard. I'm a bigger dude, so it kind of looked funny.
A lot bigger.
What kind of skateboard did you have? What kind of shoes did you have? What was your favorite brand? And did you have a favorite merch item?
I either skated Black Label or Element, and I would skate Spitfire wheels and either independent or tensor trucks. Or the other questions. I can go for a while.
Shoes.
Oh, I loved my Chad Muskas, but I normally wore Vans. Just like a low profile. Nothing big and bulky. And then as far as skate merch, I loved stickers, because whenever you buy wheels or a deck, you just get stickers and you flack them all over the place. And then good wax up the curb was always important.
Oh yeah. Did you have a favorite skateboard brand or skate brand merch item? Like a favorite hoodie or anything?
Just the board. I don't think I didn't get too much. I didn't get too much merch. It was just a board, I think.
Okay. I had to ask because I have a favorite. My cousin had it now because it was like medium when I was a kid. It was a red DC hoodie, man. And that thing was like my favorite hoodie ever. I think I probably wore it like every single day in a row. I just loved the thing. But
yeah,
I had some DC shoes back in the day, and Element was where it's at. I also I had to look them up. I forgot their name. The World Industry, Fireboy and Wet Willie. They're iconic.
Dude, they had some really cool graphics on their decks. They had a whole lot of character to them.
Yeah, those were iconic, man. So that's all I had for you, just to connect our former skater boy selves. I think we're doing much better now that we have skateboards.
Yeah, my ankles are sure better. That's for sure.
That's good.
I killed them. But yeah, it was fun.
I'm going to close this out with a prayer before we do the exit. Just feel like it's appropriate right now. Heavenly Father, God, first of all, I thank you for Geoff, Lord. I thank you for Paul. I thank you for Jeff's story, Lord, and him sharing some very vulnerable things, God, for showing us, God, that no matter how many times we've fallen down, how many times we've sinned, how many times we have disappointed you, you're still there for us. You still love us, God, and we're so thankful. For anyone listening right now, God, I pray that they find strength in you, Lord, courage to fight battles, and brothers to walk beside them, God. We thank you for this opportunity to talk tonight, God, and just to share your love. It's in Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Good conversation tonight, guys. That was powerful, Geoff. It really was. I appreciate you sharing your heart tonight, man. That honesty is what it's all about, right? That's what Brotherhood Forged is about. And this, I'm not trying to make this an advertisement, but we do want to show guys what the community is about and the kind of men that are in this community. We don't just let anybody in here. We don't want just anybody in here. We want guys that are serious about growth, about their walk with Christ, and about lifting other men up. It's not just about them. It's about the community. Sorry, Paul. What you got?
No, that's good, man. I was gonna say they're not all Ohio State fans, so don't worry, listeners. We do have more diversity than just
There's only
the
two of
Buckeyes.
us. Only two of us, I think, right? Just me and you, Geoff? I think it's just you and I.
They're all fans. They just don't know it yet.
They just don't know it.
They don't know it yet.
I'm used to
Yet.
our old Friday call, man. It was like 7 out of 12 guys, man. I'm very thankful to be a part of it, and I appreciate you coming out, man. This was cool.
Yeah. Thanks for being here today, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate
All right.
it. That was fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you like this episode, don't forget to share it. Leave us a comment. If you're a man and you're interested in the community, Brotherhood Forged with a D.com. Check us out. Be blessed, y'all.
See you guys.